Hey everyone, my name is Abhishek and today we are going to create this.
I'm not gonna lie, daughter had fun on Yagi, her brain fried. My lady Papa Zenny, other lady popping Molly, why she waiting on me? Yogi my area, yogi my
So this product animation is done entirely using After Effects and it's very easy to create. So let's see how to make this. Alright, so right now I'm in After Effects, and before we proceed, today's video is sponsored by Logitech. So I've been using MX Master series for quite some times, and I must say that these are very amazing keyboard and mouse. They have a lot of customization options and are very smooth and precise and are very comfortable to use. So if you want to learn more about their products and you want to buy something, then link for that will be in the description. So now let's continue with the video. Alright, so here you can see that I've already imported a couple of these images. So these are just some product images. So we have the Logitech mouse, MX Master 3S, and we have the keyboard as well. So I'll be using these, but it's completely up to you. You can use whatever you want. So once you are done with this, just import them in After Effects and you are ready to go. So first we will begin by creating a new composition. So let's call this one main. Width and height will be 1920 by 1080, framed at 30 fps, and duration you can pick 20 seconds. Just click on OK. So here we have our composition, and the first thing we are going to create is a background. So right click new, let's add a solid. And for the color you can pick whatever you want, but I'm going to pick like this really dark bluish sort of color, something like that. So just click on OK. So here you can see we have the background. Now let's bring our logo in. So I'm going to drag it over here. So it's black in color, so I can simply apply fill to this, and let's apply it over here, and I can change this color to white. Perfect. So now we are going to start animating it, and let's press S and let's animate its scale. So I'm going to make it quite a big, something like that. Let's add a keyframe, and now we can probably zoom in. Let's move a couple of frames, like 2 or 3 frames, and let's just make it a little bit smaller, something like that. And let's move like 3 frames ahead, and again let's make it a little bit smaller, and just have some incremental steps like this. And over here we will make it like final size, what we want, something like that. Perfect. Now we don't want them to like go in like that. Instead we want the stop motion kind of effect. So we can select the keyframes, right click, and let's toggle hold keyframe. Now if I press play, you can see we have this very nice jittery sort of animation. So once you're done with this, we are ready to have some products in the main shot. So for that we can select the keyboard. Let's drag it over here. And let's select the mouse, which is this one. Let's drag it over here as well. Now let's select both of them and let's press S and scale them down. Something like that looks good. Perfect. Now let's place the mouse, and I'm going to press R for rotation, and let's just place it somewhere around here. Let's pick the keyboard and let's press R over here as well, and I'm going to rotate it something like that so it is visible as well. You can probably make it a little bit smaller. Perfect. Let's make this one smaller as well, and we can just rotate it however we want. Make it like that. Yeah, I think this looks good. Perfect. So we want these to like come in, but we don't want this to be visible, this logo to be visible in the beginning. So we can just move it like 1 frame ahead like that. Perfect. So now I'm going to select both of these layers, press R, and let's add a keyframe. Now let's press P for position. Let's add keyframe for that as well. Let's press U to see all the keyframes. Let's go to the very beginning, and I'm going to select this, and let's just move it out of the frame like that. And let's rotate it like this, and I'm going to do the same thing over here as well. Let's move it out of the frame, and I'm going to like rotate it like that. So you can see that they are coming in just like this. Now we can select the keyframes to make this interesting. Let's press F9 to ease them. Then let's go to the graph editor. Now if your graph looks different, make sure you are using the speed graph, not the value graph. I'm going to select the endpoints, and let's change the graph to look something like that. Let's go back and see what we have created. We can probably move these keyframes a little bit ahead like that, and maybe a little bit more. So I basically want these to like come in smoothly. Perfect. Yeah, I think this looks good. Nice. So once you're done with this, we are ready to move on to the second slide, and you can see that the frame looks very empty, but we will add some elements to this later on. So let's move to the second frame. So once we have these over here, let's do one more thing. We can have some drop shadow over here as well. Let's apply drop shadow. Let's drag it over here, and I'm going to increase this, and let's increase the distance, and let's increase the softness. So you can see we have this really nice shadow. Let's copy this and paste it onto the keyboard as well. So there you go. Now we have this really nice shadow. Perfect. So for the second slide, I'm going to drag one of the other images. So let's pick this one and we can just drag it over here. Perfect. Now let's pick a point. So somewhere around here we can have this. Now I'm going to animate its scale. So let's make it like quite big like that. Let's add a keyframe for scale. Let's zoom in. Now we can move like a couple of frames ahead and let's just scale it to its normal size or whatever we want. So something like that. Let's make this fit to center. So I think this looks good. Over here we can select the keyframes, press F9 and let's change the graph to look something like, let's move this over here. Let's move this to the left side as well so that it comes in like very quickly. Perfect. We basically want this to have like impact or something. We can move this like a little bit ahead. Perfect. So here we have our second thing. Now we don't want to see the background, so for that we can select this layer and duplicate this by pressing Ctrl D, and let's just move it over here and just place it something like that. So you can see that now we have nothing visible below this. Perfect. Now we can select these layers and we can trim them, or you can just leave them as it is, but I like to trim them. So we can select all of these, hold on the Alt key and press the right square bracket to trim them. Now we can have some text coming behind this keyboard and mouse, and for that we can select the text tool and just type whatever we want, master, and we will have one text coming from the top and one from the bottom. So here we have our text, and I'm using this Montserrat black font, but it's completely up to you. You can pick whatever you want. So let's just scale this up to something like that. You can probably make this like a little bit bigger. Yeah, I think this looks good. Perfect. So we have the text. Let's make it a little bit bigger as well. And let's just place it over here. Let's align it to the center. If you're not able to see the align panel, then you can go to Windows and from here you can enable it. Perfect. So here we have our first text. Now I'm going to select this, press Ctrl D. Let's type series and let's drag it over here. So just place it wherever you want. So I think this looks good. Now we can select both of these and we can probably trim this like that. Let's press P, add keyframe for position, and in the beginning we can like move them like away. So let's just quickly place it over here so that we can see what we are doing. Let's place these layers below the image and we can move this like over here, and we can select this text and let's just move it like that. Now we can select the keyframes, press F9. Let's zoom in and we can change the graph to look something like that. So we have these coming in. Now they are very quick, so we can move these keyframes ahead like that. But you will notice that as our keyboard is moving, we can like have a little bit of more delay. We have this blank background. So basically I want to have like something over here. So for this one we can again do the same thing. Let's select the text tool and we can have our text. Let's type MX and let's select this, press S, and I'm going to like make it quite a big. Now let's move its anchor point to the center. So for that you can select the layer, hold on the Control key and double click on this. Now the anchor point is in the center. Let's align it to the center as well, and I'm going to place it like down below. Perfect. Let's press S and I'm going to like scale it quite a bit, just like our image, and let's trim this and let's add a keyframe for scale and let's just scale it to something like that. Now again we want this to have like jittery sort of motion, so we can like pick a couple of points. So let's just move it over here so that we can see like that. Let's add a keyframe over here. Let's move a little bit ahead. Let's add a keyframe over here and let's add a keyframe over here as well. Now we can play around with that timing and select everything, and we can right click and toggle hold keyframe. So you can see as our image is moving, we have the text coming in as well. Maybe we can have a little bit of more delay. Perfect. So yeah, I think this looks good. Perfect. So as soon as we have this text like over here, we can have our other text coming up. So we can select this and we can Control Shift D to split the layer, and let's delete it. Perfect. And we can do one more thing. Let's select these keyframes and I'm going to change the graph to look something like that so that we have this impact sort of thing. So I like this animation and we are done with this slide as well. So after that, we are ready to have our next slide. So before we continue, if you enjoy my work and you want to support me, then you can check out my Patreon page. Over there, you will get access to the tutorial project files and exclusive templates that are available only on Patreon. So make sure to check it out. Link for that is in the description. Now let's continue. So for that, we can just simply add our text. So let's select the text tool and I'm going to type create and let's align it to the center. And let's select this and I'm going to press S to scale this up. Let's make its anchor point in the center. So hold on the control key, double click on this. Perfect. Let's move it like this and we can select this, press Ctrl D, this solid, so we can just focus on this. Double click on this text and I'm going to type the second text. So press enter and so this is what I want. I'm going to select the middle text and we can probably change its color to like have little bit of accent or little bit of change. Perfect. Let's align it to the center. Nice. So we have our text, but we want these to be like on individual layers so we can animate them all by once. So first I'm going to like select this and let's press Ctrl D 2 times so that we have 3 layers. And over here we can delete all of these bottom part like that. And on this one we can delete the top part and the bottom part so that we only have make. And on this one we can delete both of these and let's press enter to make it like down below. Perfect. Now we have all of these layers. So select everything. Now hold on the control key to make its anchor point in the center. Now again we can animate their scale. So let's add keyframe for scaling. And in the beginning I'm going to like make them quite big, something like that. Again select the keyframes, press F9. Let's go to the graph editor and I'm going to change it to look something like that. Yes, I think this looks good. We can probably make these like a little bit closer so that these are coming in quickly. Perfect. Now we can like move this background a little bit ahead so that we can find where we want these text to appear. So we have this coming in and after that we will have this text and somewhere around here we can have our next text coming up. Perfect. So let's place this and we can have a little bit of delay. So all of these texts are coming like one after other. We can move the keyframes again a little bit closer. So over here again we can have our background appearing so that the rest is not visible. And we can probably move these like a little bit ahead. I don't want this much delay. Perfect. So here we have our next slide. And again we will add some more elements in the background to make this look more appealing. Now we're ready to have our next one. So for that we can simply select the image. So let's pick one of these. So let's pick the keyboard one and let's place it over here. Now I'm going to find a point. Let's quickly scale this down to something like that. Now as we have these texts, we want this keyboard to like appear just like that. Now I don't want this to like this straight, so we can have a little bit of angle like that. Now we can move like a couple of frames ahead. Let me just go, probably zoom in. Let's move like 3 to 4 frames ahead. Let's select this, press Ctrl Shift D to split the layer. Let's press R and I'm going to like make it like this. I think these are like a little bit bigger, so we can probably scale them down. Perfect. Now let's select this, press R. So we have this and we have this frame and let's move a little bit ahead. Again press Ctrl Shift D. Let's press R and we can like make it a little bit like that. And let's move a little bit ahead, Ctrl Shift T. Let's press R and I'm going to set the rotation to 0. So here we have this keyboard coming in. Perfect. So as you can see that it is moving, so we can have text going out one by one. So over here we can select this, hold on the Alt key and press the right square bracket and let's trim this so that this text goes away. And as it moves over here, we can select this, hold on Alt key, right square bracket, and then this one goes away. And at this point we can have this one going away just like that. So here we have created this animation. So once we are done with this, we are ready to have a little bit of text over here describing our product. So we can probably have its name and some line over here. So again for that we can make use of some earlier elements. So I'm going to use these two. So let's press Ctrl D to duplicate these. And let's just select them and move somewhere around here. Let's move it to this point and let's press U to see the position, and I'm going to like move them in the middle. And let's select this one. Let's move it to the middle as well. Perfect. Now for the final position, we can change it later on. So let's change the text. For this one, we can type MX keys S, which is this keyboard. And for the second one, we can just type a little bit of detail about it. So let's type this, and I think this is quite big. So I'm going to set this to, let's say, bold. Let's double click on this, and I'm going to set this to bold. Perfect. Let's align it to the center like that. Let's move its anchor point to the center as well. Now we can select this, press S, and I'm going to like make it smaller. So it's quite big, something like that. Looks good. Now we can change its position to something like that. So I think this looks good, and you will notice that the keyboard looks a little bit like more towards the top. So we can select everything, and we can just move them a little bit down below like that. Perfect. Now we can do same thing over here. We can just move it a little bit so that we don't have this a jump over here. So there you go. Now we have this very nice slide where we have these coming in. Perfect. Now again, we will add some elements to the background. Now let's go to the next product and let's add the mouse. So I'm going to just drag this one over here. Perfect. Now let's pick a point somewhere around here. We can have this. Now let's press S. Let's add a keyframe for scale. Let's make it quite big. Just like that. Press R for rotation. Let's press U. And let's move a little bit ahead. And I'm going to first scale it down to the size I want. Something like that looks good. Now we can rotate it like that. Perfect. We can select the keyframes. Press F9. Let's go to the graph. And I'm going to make it look something like that. Perfect. Now we can play around with the timing, and I'm going to like make it really close. Perfect. This looks good. And again, we will have the background. So for that, we can select this layer, press Ctrl D, and let's move this to the top. And let's just place it over here. So where we have this like fully covering the screen. Perfect. Again, we can have these text over here as well. So press Ctrl D, and let's just duplicate them and just place it below the image. Now image is like quite smaller, so I can make this like a little bit bigger. Perfect. Now for this, we can change the text as well. So I'm going to type MX Master 3S, and over here we can change it to this. And again, we can select these, press U, and let's just place it over here and play around with that timing. So we can move this text like a little bit down below. Perfect. So here we have this. So we have the keyboard and the text, then we have the mouse and the text. Let's play with the timing so we can have it like appear somewhere around here. Yeah, I think this looks good. Now again, if you want, you can like make little bit changes to these text as well. So for example, I can double click on this MX keys text, and we can change its color to match this one. So let's double click and let's change its color to this one like that. And let's do the same thing over here as well. So double click and let's select this text, and I'm going to change its color to this one as well. So there you go. Now we have this. Perfect. Now for the last slide, we can have some animation, and for that, first I'm going to select this background, press Ctrl D. Let's place this to the top. Now I'm going to quickly align all the elements. So let's align our logo first, and let's place it somewhere around here. Let's press S, and again we can make this white. So let's apply fill to this and change its color to white. Let's select this, press S, and make it a little bit bigger. So we can place it to somewhere around here like that, and we can have our keyboard and mouse over here as well. So let's drag one of the images like this, and let's drag the keyboard here as well. Perfect. Let's select both of them, press S, and let's just scale them down. Now we have to like align them to an angle. So we can select the mouse and let's keyboard. Let's press R, and I'm going to like rotate it like this. So here we have our keyboard. Again, it's quite big, so I'm going to press S to make this smaller. And the mouse, we can have it over here Let's add a little bit of rotation, press S to make this smaller as well. Now you can align them however you want. Perfect. Again, we can animate them by adding keyframe for their rotation. Then press P, add keyframe, let's press U to see everything. And in the beginning, we can basically move them like out of the frame like that. And let's move this one as well. And also we can have the rotation like this, and let's rotate it like that. Now we can select the keyframes, press F9. Let's do the same thing with the text as well. So let's select this, press P, let's add a keyframe. Let's move it over here, and in the beginning we can just place it like that. Now we can select everything, press F9. Let's go to the graph editor, and I'm gonna change it to look something like that so that we have everything coming in smoothly. Perfect. So we can do the same thing with the background as well. So press P, add position. Let's move it over here like that. Again, we can do the same easing like that. Now let's play around with that timing. So as soon as this comes, so somewhere around here we can have our background. So let's move all these layers in. Perfect. And now we are pretty much done with the basic animation, and we are ready to like make this really stand out by using some elements. So let me just quickly show you how to create them. So in the first frame, we can have some like stroke or line like going something like that. So for that, we can select the pen tool and make sure none of the layer is selected. Now we can probably zoom out, and we can probably click here. You can see that the fill is set to none, and stroke we have set to like 174. Again, we can change its color. So I'm going to like pick this one, this color, so that we have this common theme over here. Now let's click over here, and let's click somewhere in the center, and we can have like this. Now let's click somewhere around here so that we have this curve sort of thing. Perfect. Now we can make this like a little bit bolder, something like that, and we can select this, and let's move this down, and let's place it at the bottom below our text and the logo. Now we can animate this line. So for that, we can select this. Let's open it up. First we can select this, and let's search for cap. So over here we can see we have line cap, and set changes from butt to round cap. Now we can select this layer, and let's go to add, and we can add a trim path. Now make sure to click on the cancel so that we can see the properties. Now let's go to the content. Here we have our trim path. Now we can animate its endpoint like that. So let's add a keyframe, and let's set this to 100. Now again, we can select the keyframes, press F9. Now just play around with their timing and position however you want. So we can select the keyframes. Let's go to the graph, and I'm going to change it to look something like that so that we have this coming in like that. I don't want it to be like this fast, so we can play around with the timing. So I think this looks good. In the same way, we can have a little bit of drop shadow onto the logo as well. So let's apply it over here, but I don't want it to be like this harsh. So we can like probably make this a little bit softer and make it closer. And let's make this a lot softer. Perfect. Now we can have this line continue over here as well. So for that, we can select this, press Ctrl D, and let's just offset it. And we have to place it like over here because we have a solid background. So somewhere around here, we can have this. I think this line looks much better over here. So we can probably have a little bit of variation of it to this place. So for that, we can select these endpoints, and I am going to like change it to something like that. So we don't have the exact same line. We have a little bit of variation over here like that. So I think this looks much better. So now we have this, and over here I am not going to add the line because it will be too much, and we can have the line back somewhere around here. So for that, again, we can select this, press Ctrl D to duplicate this. Let's move this to the top somewhere around here. Now for this one, we can probably change its path. So I'm going to like go over here, and let's play around with their path. So I think this looks good. Let me just quickly play this out. Perfect. So we have this over here, and we can have like something similar over here as well. So select this, press Ctrl D, and let's move it over here. Let's place it to something like that. just make sure that this is above the background layer. So for this one we can like probably make it like come from the opposite side. So yeah, I think this one looks good as well. Now if I press play, you can see we have this text and we have this line coming in and we have the second one coming over here. So at the last again we can have the same line. So let's select this, press Ctrl D and let's place it to something around here. Perfect. Now this is completely up to you. You can just play around with these lines however you want. You can just create whatever type of angle you want with them. So I think this line looks good, and if I press play, yeah, I think this is good. So we can select this logo and I can probably select the keyframes and let's place it like a little bit below, something like that. Perfect. Now if you want, you can have a little bit of text over here as well, but again it's completely up to you. Now we can have some drop shadow over here, so we can basically copy this and just paste it onto these images like that. And let's have a little bit of text over here as well, like that. And we can just animate it by pressing P, and let's add a keyframe for opacity T. Now press U. Now in the beginning we can set the opacity to 0 and we can just move it like a little bit up. Perfect. We can select the keyframes, press F9 like that. So now you can see we have this coming in, and somewhere around here we can have this text like coming in just like that. So there you go. Now we have created all the animations, and we can have a little bit of more elements over here to make this a little bit interesting. So we can have some crosses and X's. So for that we can select the text tool and just click, and you can type plus or X, whatever you call it. Let's type plus, and I'm going to set this to black. Now let's select this, press S, and you can see we have this. Now hold on the control key, double click on this to make the anchor point in the center. Now we can select this, press R, and I'm going to set this to like 45 degree. Perfect. Now all we have to do is just simply zoom in. Let's go to the first frame somewhere around here. Now we can move like a couple of frames ahead, like 2 or 3, and press Ctrl Shift D. Now let's move one over here. Now let's move couple of frames ahead, Ctrl Shift D to split the layer, and let's move one to this side. Let's move a little bit ahead, Ctrl Shift D. Let's place one to this side. You can play around with the variation in sizes as well. Perfect. So here we have these X's. Now you can select them and let's press Ctrl D to duplicate them. Let's move them to the top. Now we can change their color, or we can just simply apply fill. And let's just change the color to over here. Let's copy this and paste it onto all of these. And after that, just play around and place them randomly so that we have these two X's. Perfect. So here you can see we have added these X's, and in the same way you can like keep on adding them to the places where you feel like it's a little bit empty. So for example, we can select all of them, press Ctrl D, and let's move this to the top. Now let's go somewhere around here. We can like move all of these to this place. So let's move it over here, and let's pick a point somewhere around here. We can make them start appearing like that. So here you can see we have created these crosses, and you can see that it looks very amazing. So in this way you can create these kind of product reveal animation, and you can like keep on adding slides and have your all the products and all the whatever details you want to add over here. So I hope you learned something from this video, and the project files for this tutorial is available on Patreon. So if you are supporting me over there, then you can download it from there, and if you are not, then you might consider it, because you will get access to the tutorial project files and exclusive templates that are available only on Patreon. So with that being said, my name is Abhishek, and I'll see you in the next one.